Hello, everyone. Scott Zambelli here, and I'm one half of our Odd Musings team. Brett Pinson is out of town today. He's traveling the globe out in Las Vegas with our good friend Kevin Meinert. So I hope they're having a blast out there. So let's get into it. Let's do our ads first. Let me get over to the comments page so I can see if anybody comments. So basically, I'm just free-flowing it today. If anybody's watching and you want to pop in, feel free. Send me a request, and I can send you a link. But first, let's get our sponsors. So let me get the share screen going here. And here we go. Our first sponsor is Lerner Family Chiropractic Center, located in Belleville, Michigan. And as Brett says every week, he is a current patient there. He gets work done regularly with them, and they do an amazing job. Their offices are in both Belleville and Dexter, Michigan, and they have a great line of products that they sell there as well. There you see Dr. Brian, Dr. Anna, and the variety of services they offer. I also had my daughter here for some issues she had a while back. They did an amazing job being first-time chiropractic patients. They had a great orientation process that really informed us about what they do. So that was really great. So if you go to their website, it's LernerFamilyChiropractic.com. You can read all about them, their hours, their locations. They also have some great products, orthotics, and essential oils and all types of things like that. So give them a call. Their number in Belleville, 734-697-4244. And their number in Dexter is 734-426-3994. You won't regret using them. Then our next sponsor here, let me pull them up, is Team Titans of Real Estate. And that would be myself and Jill Webler. So let me pull our ad up for that. And there we have it. Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though technology and tools is always changing with social media and streaming and all these different things. I mean, tools like this, we weren't even using 2 years ago, really. But now through the power of things like StreamYard, which we use, and other things, it keeps changing the field on how things are done. However, what doesn't change is at the core, real estate is still a people business, and there's a lot going on in real estate right now. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, kind of give you a real estate 101 of the home buying process for you, especially for you first-time home buyers who maybe never have done so before. So, it can seem like a daunting task, but that's what we're here for. We guide you through the process and, get you from point A through point Z. So give us a call. My number is 586-549-6096, or give Jill Webler a call, 586-277-2145. There you go. So as I said, Brett is out in Vegas today. So normally we'd be talking about the new last week's episode of Loki, as well as The Bad Batch on Star Wars, Disney Plus. But Brett, since he's not here, requested we hold that off till next week, which is good because then we can get each other's insight into that. But what I wanted to share, though, is a little bit of this week here. I started watching a new series over on Disney Plus, and I wanted to bring it up here because I didn't really know anything about this. So let me pull it up. We got a StreamYard ad. Here we go. The Mysterious Benedict Society. It's a very good show. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it's on Disney Plus. It definitely does not feel Disney. It feels much more in line with like the Umbrella Academy, which is, I believe, Netflix and, those kind of things. So this feels like a series that would be on Netflix or Amazon Prime. They're doing a great job with bringing this world to life. I didn't know this was actually a series of books that were put out. So this is their official website, mysteriousbenedictsociety.com. And there's some interesting things. Here's the book. They've got the cover updated with the current characters in the Disney Plus series. The kids are doing a phenomenal job in this. And then you got some of the different characters here. Here's the trailer. I won't bother playing it because it seems like whenever we play videos, YouTube gets mad at us. We're only trying to advertise. Try and find the synopsis of the whole thing so I can tell it without giving any spoilers, so to speak. So let's go here. Let's see. Mysterious Benedict Society. Okay, so here's the IMDb page I'll put up. Actually, I can just read from it. Synopsis. A group of gifted orphans are recruited by an eccentric benefactor to go on a secret mission. That's a very basic description, but when you get into it, what you find out is there's this event occurring that they refer to as the emergency. It's I don't know yet if it's a virus or what, but something is happening where it's inducing panic and conflict amongst everybody, and it's causing chaos in the streets and everything like that. And so I'm only on episode 2 right now. The first 3 episodes are out. I think they're doing weekly releases again. Just like they're doing with their other series. So right now it's up through episode 3. I've seen 2 of them. So let's see. I'm trying to pull it up on the Disney Plus page to see if I can see what they have here. They don't have it on their main page. It just came out. All right, let's go back. We'll just do it on a different page. All right. So this emergency is happening, going through, causing panic. This guy you see on the screen here, that's the eccentric professor or whoever who's recruiting these orphans. He's devised this test to put together this team of gifted kids. And like I said, I'm not going to give spoilers, so I don't want to get into that. But this team, he believes children are the only ones who can solve this crisis. And it turns out there is an encoded message being broadcasted everywhere that is subliminally entering people's minds and causing this fear to occur. So that's what we get. It's got a great group of people here in the cast that I do want to highlight here. So let me share the IMDb. All right, so here's the IMDb page for it. The Mysterious Benedict Society. Like I said, it's fun. I didn't go into it with any expectations. I don't know anything about the books, but these kids are doing a great job in their roles. Here's the cast. So you have Mr. Benedict, who is played by Tony Hale. He's the eccentric character. Kristen Shale, I'm not sure how to say her. She's number 2 is her name. She plays this interesting kick butt teacher. There she is here, who she's very imposing but weird and awkward, but also it turns out she can fight ninjas and everything also. Then you have a a big surprise. Let's see if they have a picture of him up here. They don't. Ryan Hurst is in here. People know him as Opie in Sons of Anarchy. He plays a very different character in this series, named Milligan. So he does a great job, like I said, because we're used to see him as Opie and roles like that. It's interesting to see him here. Rainey, this kid's name is Mystic Instro. I can't say that, but Rainey, he's kind of the main character in this, and then these are kind of supporting characters. They're part of the team, but it seems like he's the main one. You got Emmy D'Oliveira hacking these up. This Marta Kessler, she plays Constance Contraire. She is hilarious. She's a very angry and mean little kid who just tells it like it is. Then you got Seth Carr, who plays George Sticky Washington. He's named Sticky because information sticks to him. He remembers everything. So some great stuff there. There's Constance Contraire there. Let's see. That's Tony Hale as Mr. Benedict. So there you go. Good stuff. I definitely recommend it. If you have kids, I think they will enjoy this. It's definitely geared towards kids, especially, being Disney. But it's good stuff. So episode 1 is called A Bunch of Smart Orphans. It kind of sets up everything. And then episode 2 is the kind of the forming of the team. And then episode 3 seems like, based on what I'm guessing so far, is where we kind of see the mission unfold. So in all, this is 8 episodes. Each episode, I want to say it was about 45 minutes, I believe, each episode. So it's an easy watch, but good stuff. And here we go. Yeah, July 9th, 16th, 23rd. So every week they're releasing this. And let's see, the 9th falls on Fridays. So these are Friday releases. So just like Bad Batch. So good watching. I highly recommend it. Another thing to point out regarding this, let me share this. There's an article about how to watch this. So not sure what instructions we need to watch it. It seemed self-evident when I was tuning in there. I didn't have rules, so maybe I was watching it wrong. So right now, this is based on Trenton Lee Stewart's children's book series of the same name. Disney brings to life the mysterious Benedict Society in this delightful, mysterious adventure. One for all the family to enjoy. Here's how to watch. How to watch. Let's see. Well, is that just... It's telling you how to watch by getting Disney Plus, so it's an ad. So it's it's an ad. All right, enough of that. Good stuff. Last thing I want to share regarding this, though, is about the books. So I read an article. According to the article, if you've read the books, you will like the series. It stays very true to the first book. However, from reading some Disney Plus quotes, it sounds like they're not guaranteeing future seasons will stick to the books. So season 1, they're going to stay true to the books. Season 2 and 3, they may deviate, is what they're saying. So we'll see where they go. Probably when they wait to hear back for, what the feedback is from the fans. That's probably will be the deciding factor there. All right. So that's some good stuff. Other things, Black Widow comes out this week too. Can't wait for that. I'm seeing it on Friday. I think Brett's seeing it on Thursday. So that'll be good. The next thing to cover is Bardstone. Let's get our Bardstone up. Hey, yeah, we all miss Brett. Brett will be back next week, so that's good. It's easier doing this with 2 people because then you have somebody pulling up screens while the other one's talking, which makes life a lot easier. So thanks for joining in, Stacy. Brett will be back, though. He's having a blast. If you follow him on Facebook, they've been in Vegas. they were on this really fun ride or thing called the U.S. Rails something. It looks like it's on a railroad track, and it's got pedals, and you all sit in the car, and it looks like you pedal your way down the track. So that's pretty cool. All right, Bardstone Publishing. Let's talk some Bardstone news. We got a lot coming up this month later on. So right now we have in progress our Crimson Shadows 2 Kickstarter was successfully completed. And I'm excited to announce we are on the early side of launching here. The guarantee was to receive your rewards July of 2021, which we are now in. And I'm proud to say almost every reward has been shipped as of yesterday. I dropped them off at the post office. The only rewards remaining are my international orders. So they're already boxed. I just have to do all the labels. So there's like 7 or 8 of you out there who are across the ocean there. I am putting those orders together now for shipping. So in the next couple days, I'll have those shipped out. And once that happens, the only remaining item will be the digital edition. So just ask for your patience on that. The digital edition is all ready. However, I want to give everyone the chance to experience the story as it's meant to be in the book. So like, we've got the book here. Here's a copy. It's just something about reading it. It's formatted, the story, for paper, viewing and how everything unfolds. So I want to give everyone the chance to experience it that way first, and then release the digital copy. So I'm gonna probably release the digital copy towards the end of next week. So everyone who has got your emails, I will send the links to you to do your downloads then. So like I said, just want to let everyone experience it the true way it's meant to be. Kind of like movies, now everybody wants to have these streamed straight to the TV, but they're really made to be enjoyed on the big screen. And while it's nice, the convenience of just looking at your home, you really should try to experience it in the way the director intended, in the format that they designed it for. So regarding the Bardstone, I wanted to give you some updates. We have our bardstone.com website here for Bardstone Publishing. If you go here, we have some updates. We have our Comic-Con schedule listed. If you click on this, we can see it big. July 24th and 25th, we are going to be at Gem City Comic-Con. We are so excited for that. And Brett and Kevin will be down there representing Bardstone. And this will actually be our official debut at a Comic-Con as Bardstone, seeing how last year everything was canceled all year. So there will be opportunities to sign up for our Kickstarter mailing list and receive maybe some little goodies and thank yous for signing up for our newsletter. And then, of course, Crimson Shadows 1 and 2, Poe 1 and 2, and Richard Realms 1, along with Brett's Boomtown Scabs and Expendables and all those books. Carl, those will all be available at Gem City for you to buy. So that's exciting. Also, if you go to our Bardstone page on Facebook, there's an event page for Gem City Comic-Con. You can go in there and pre-order commissions or books or anything you want there. So just look that up and contact us through that page. I'm in the process of setting up the event page for Tampa Bay Comic-Con. That's July 30th through August 1st. Tampa Bay, we absolutely love doing that show. It's a lot of fun. We're going to fly there, bring all our product. That one will have all 3 of us, Kevin, Brett, and myself. So that is always a great show. And we're really looking forward to seeing what, just being back into it after this year of shutdowns from the Comic-Con. So we will be in Tampa. Quick rundown the other shows. I won't get into detail on these ones, but for these shows here, for August, we have Colorado Springs coming up, end of August. So that one. We typically do the Denver Comic-Con. We've never done Colorado Springs, though. So we're looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I'm sure it's going to be great. Colorado has always been good to us there. That one will feature Brett and Kevin. Then we have 2 different shows on the same weekend in September. We've got Cincinnati Comic Expo, September 17th through 19th. That one will feature Brett and myself. We'll be going there. And then we have the Monroe Pop Fest in Monroe, Michigan, that Kevin will be doing September 17th and 18th. So kind of doing a divide and conquer type method there for September. October, we got a couple of shows in October, a little final burst before the year comes to an end. We've got the Fright Night Film Festival in outside of Louisville, Kentucky, October 1st through 3rd. Kevin and Brett will be there. Indiana Comic Con in Indianapolis, October 15th through 17th. That one will feature Brett and Kevin, while I'm doing the Motor City Comic Con for Bardstone, October 16th through 17th. So that's another one where we have 2 separate shows the same weekend. And then closing out the year with 2 final shows, we got Akron Comic Con at the beginning of November. That one will feature Brett and me. Kevin, if he's available, will join us. And then last but not least is the Comic-Con International, also known as San Diego Comic-Con. That's November 26th through 28th. I will definitely be there with the table. I'm not 100% sure about Kevin might be. I don't know if he was officially confirmed yet. So that one, it's still up in the air as far as what the final lineup will be for Brett, Kevin, and I. But I will definitely be present. So exciting stuff there. Definitely. Good stuff. We love doing these shows and getting back amongst everybody there. So good stuff. All right. Let's move on. We got Lil Pop Tart Jr. Hi, Lil Pop Tart. I like the name Lil Pop. Oh, Lily Pop Tart. Lily Pop Tart. I thought I said Lil. Well, welcome and glad you're joining us, Lily Pop Tart. Speaking of Pop Tarts, my favorite Pop Tarts are the Frosted Apple. I can only get them in certain states, though. I can't buy them here in Michigan, at least not locally. I don't know if anybody else in Michigan has them, but those are my favorite. Second favorite, probably a tie between the cinnamon brown sugar and the strawberry frosted. Those are my favorites. All right. So in addition to that, I wanted to talk a little bit about this. So what is going on with UFOs? That's my question. UFOs. For years, we've been hearing, only if you're a weirdo who wears a tinfoil hat and, you're a conspiracy theorist and all this stuff, that's the type of person who believes in UFOs. And pretty much you'd be laughed at if you talked about UFOs by the mainstream media. Like, the media would never cover this before. Now I've been seeing the mainstream news have articles and interviews with people regarding UFOs. The government has now released official footage of UFOs. And, the question is, what's going on? Here, Huffington Post, Harry Reid, who was a former senator, he has come out and confirmed that the government has been covering up UFOs for years. So it's just interesting that this has been coming out. And the question is, why? What's going on? A, why are they now confirming it? And B, what does it mean? I guess let's start with the what if. The big thing to recognize is the term UFO. A lot of people will use the term synonymously with aliens. But the reality is a UFO is simply an unidentified flying object. So it could be all kinds of things. It could be aliens. And even I was reading some other stories saying how the government is not ruling out aliens. If you notice in their interviews, they never say it's not aliens. So that's an interesting omission from their statements. So they won't refer to that. And there's also confirmed reports of like us receiving radio signals from outside of our Earth coming towards us. So, you got to wonder, like, what is that? So the term UFO just simply means unidentified. It doesn't necessarily mean aliens, but like I said, they're omitting the phrase that it's not alien. So they can't rule it out, basically. Which leaves up other options. I mean, maybe they're humans, but they're time travelers, right? Who knows? Or because think about it. If you really did invent a time machine and you were going to go back to observe history or observe human behavior, one of your strict rules would have to be to not engage, to stay hidden, to stay out of sight so that you don't affect the flow of time. Well, that is kind of how these UFOs operate. They try to stay out of touch. They try not to interact. So maybe it's time travelers. Or another option is it could be current humans in our current time frame, but of people, a different government with very high-end technology that we don't know of at this time and cannot confirm it. However, the problem with that theory is if these other countries have that level of tech, I don't think they would, because a lot of them, the countries that have the capability and resources to do so, I don't know if they would want to allow us to stay as the superpower. So I think they would be very quick to use that technology against us if they could. So who knows? No one knows. Or could it be a secret government agency within our own government that the rest of the government doesn't even know about? Maybe it's that. So it's just interesting. There's all these videos surfacing from the military, from pilots, from naval ships, and why are they coming out now? And is this to be a distraction, or is this so that we're not seeing something different, or is there something coming that they know of and that they can't keep quiet, so they're going to release the information now ahead of time? So the former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, he said the U.S. government's been hiding key details about UFOs for years. He said, why the federal government all these years has covered up, put brake pads on everything, stopped it, I think is very, very bad for our country, Reid said in the upcoming documentary, The Phenomenon, from director James Fox. So I'm curious to see this documentary where they're putting it together. Fox asked Reid, are you saying that there's some evidence that still hasn't seen the light of day? I'm saying most of it hasn't seen the light of day. So Reid is saying there's still tons more evidence that the government hasn't released. They've only released a very small amount of information. So this will be very curious to see what they do. So this film, it examines the history of UFO sightings in the United States and abroad, including new details about military confirmed encounters off the coast involving U.S. Navy pilots. It also details a 1967 report in which an object appeared over a U.S. missile base at the same time that 10 of the missiles became inoperative. If they had been called upon by the president to launch, they couldn't have done it, because somehow when this UFO appeared, their systems went down. Reid, who was among the lawmakers behind a classified but since closed U.S. government UFO program, has become increasingly outspoken about the phenomena since leaving office. However, he stopped short of confirming evidence of otherworldly activity, writing in August on Twitter that he wants the issue studied and that we must stick to science, not fairy tales about little green men. He repeated that point of view in the new film. He says, nobody has to agree why it's there, but we should at least be spending some money to study all of these phenomena. So it's a very interesting topic. Whether you're a UFO believer or debunker, those in between or still undecided, it's important to present accurate information that potentially affects the national security of all nations and the safety of all citizens of our planet. So here's the trailer for the phenomenon. Now this says 2020, so maybe it's out already. I thought this was a recent story. Oh, this is from October, so this might even be out. So I'll have to look it up, and I'll report back to you what we find. Right? All right. So there's that. Okay, folks. This is going to be a short episode this week because I have a lot of real estate to do. So I just want to recap a couple things before I go. I want to get into Real Estate 101. Okay. And this applies to all buyers, but I want to really focus on those first-time home buyers so that you know the steps involved. So let me get over here. So here's our Teen Titans Real Estate page. Real Estate 101 for first-time home buyers. A lot of times people, they're very afraid of getting their credit. When we tell them they have to get pre-approvals, they're worried their credit's going to get hit because they're doing a credit pull. The lenders understand that you're looking for a house and that credit has to be pulled. So it does give a very slight ding temporarily to your credit, but it's very slight. So unless you're like really low credit score where you're right on the cusp, it's not going to alter your ability to buy a home. So the first step in the process is getting your pre-approval. Why is that so important? The reason is because you might know what your current budget is and what you can afford out of pocket for month to month. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you get approved for, because banks are looking at more than just one thing. They're trying to look at your ability to pay on a regular basis. So, for instance, one way people really end up with a different result is if you work in a job where you make a lot of overtime. And even though overtime could be consistent for you, overtime can be cut at any time. So a lot of times overtime can't be used in the calculation of your earnings. So that's something to keep in mind. Another way your income gets affected for when they're determining how much you can afford is if you work in a high cash industry. If you work in an industry where you make a lot of cash tips, but you don't report those cash tips on your taxes. If you're not reporting them on your taxes, they're not going to be able to count them. They're looking at your tax returns to see what you reported. So let's just give a big example. Let's say you make $60,000 a year, with the majority of that being tips and other things, but you only report $35,000 a year. Well, they're only going to be able to count $35,000 a year of income towards what you can afford. So those are some things to keep in mind where your lifestyle or the nature of your job could give you different results for your approval process than what you know your financial situation is. So a bank will only give you money based on those things they can verify through taxes, pay stubs, those kind of things. With that said, the amount you think you can afford every month could be different. It could change what level of house you could buy. And so we want you pre-approved because if you think you can afford a $300,000 house, but it turns out you're only going to get approved for $250,000, you don't want to fall in love with $300,000 houses if you can't get them, because then you start looking at those $250,000 houses and nothing will live up to what you had in your mind. So getting pre-approved early will help you a lot. Another benefit, again, pre-approved early is sometimes people have things on their credit that they weren't expecting. Sometimes there can be old debts or old credit cards out there they forgot about. Sometimes there's sometimes there's just fraud. They find out that somebody opened up credit cards that weren't in their name, that somebody else stole their identity. So if you find that out, you got to clean them up before certain things can move forward. So that's why the pre-approval process is so important. Also, in doing so, on the flip side, as realtors, when we're doing listings, our sellers, they want pre-approved buyers coming through. They don't, it's a lot of work to clean up the house and have it presentable for showings. And they don't want just any random people going through their house. They want pre-approved serious buyers. So as realtors, one of the things we do is to make sure our buyers are pre-approved, so our sellers have the confidence that having an agent list their home is getting them pre-approved serious buyers. So step one, pre-approval process. The next step is looking for houses. A lot of times people will have an idea of what they want, but until you really start looking, it's like buying a car. You got to test drive, right? So sometimes people think they know what they want, but then when they start looking, they might realize they don't like that kind of house. So we start off with a broader search typically as Team Titans. We'll get your criteria of what you want, but we try to keep it a little broader. Like, for instance, quads. We have a lot of people who have no interest in buying quads. So they're looking at ranches. Ranches are the most popular style of home right now. And they lose out on some houses, or they can't get them because the competition is so high for the ranch. They say, okay, well, let's look at some other ones. And then they get in a quad and they're like, oh, wow, we really like this style of home. We never thought of buying this before. So had they not seen it to begin with, they might never have known they actually like that style. So that opens up some possibilities when you allow us to show you more than just maybe what a narrow search criteria. Open up a little. You might be surprised by what you find. With that said, another key factor in looking at houses is don't judge a house purely by the photos. You got to be careful with that. Photos are only as good or bad as the person taking the photo. And sometimes you look and you just know that is not the house for me. But if it's a maybe, you should go, because there have been so many times we've taken people to a house that they really weren't interested in. It was a maybe. And then they get there and they're like, wow, this shows so much better than what the photos did. Or it happens in reverse a lot too. As realtors, our job is to really market the home in its best possible light. And if you got to be careful not to you want to represent the property accurately in its best light, but you don't want to misrepresent the property also. So you got to know your property that you're listing and who your target people is. So if you have a house that needs a lot of work and it's a fixer-upper, you want to be careful not to only show the pictures that make it look like it's fully finished and perfect, because then every person walking in is going to be disappointed. They're going to be like, oh my God, this needs a lot of work. From the pictures, I thought it was finished and move-in ready. So there's a balancing act, but a lot of times we'll go into showings, the pictures looked amazing, and we walk out and the potential buyer is like, wow, that was nowhere near as nice as what I saw in the pictures. So don't allow the pictures to be your only guide. If you look at the pictures and there's a maybe, let's go see it. So then we will set up the showings and take you, but you really got to be careful too. You want a full-time agent who can dedicate their time to you, because these houses are still going fast. And if a house comes on the market today, but you don't know about it for 3 or 4 days, it might be gone by the time you go see it. So you need agents who are very responsive. We check for our clients 3 times a day. We do 3 searches a day for anything hitting the market. And as soon as it hits, we email it to you. We send you a text letting you know a new house came on the market. And if you want to see it, we can see it that day as long as their showings opened. One example, a house we just recently listed in Warren. It was a very well-maintained house in great shape. We listed that house on a Tuesday. Within a day and a half, we had something like 50 showings. We ended up with 11 offers, and it was just nonstop people calling on the house. So that house, if it took you 2 days to find it, you were too late. And we had some agents upset because they made a decision so fast. But the seller has a right to choose. If sometimes we get offers that are just too good to say no to, or to wait on. And in this case, a buyer really fell in love with the house and made a very serious offer that our seller did not want to risk losing. So made the decision, and the house went pending like within 36 hours or something like that. So that just gives you an idea how fast things move. So you want a realtor who stays up on the market for you, lets you know as soon as things hit, and gets you out there. Because the sooner you do that, the better your chances are. The next thing to realize, though, is when you make an offer, it seems like there's a common, we know the market. We are showing houses very regularly. And one of the things we know is which house, well, we don't know. I shouldn't say we know, but through experience, we have a very educated guess on which houses are probably going to sell fast and above asking price, and which houses are overpriced. And we will tell you that. We'll advise you accordingly based upon our educated opinion of what's happening. But often when a buyer is brand new, they look at the sales price, and the old school thinking is that whatever the sales price is, you negotiate down. You come in with a lower offer and try to beat them up on price, but that's not what the market's doing right now. If you price a house fairly, it can easily go for $20,000 above asking price if it's priced right. So we will advise our buyers, like we'll do the market analysis. We have seen the house, and we'll advise them, what type of offer to make. And often when it's a new buyer who is just starting in the market, they don't listen. They don't want to offer above asking. They're very hesitant, and not even close to the winning bid. The winning bid could easily be 20 or 30,000 above asking, with a $30,000 appraisal guarantee and free 60 days occupancy. That's the kind of stuff people are doing to get these deals. People are pulling out money from 401ks, taking out a loan against their own 401k to have enough money to put down appraisal guarantees or a big enough deposit to waive appraisal, because that's a major part. Another thing people are doing are waiving inspections. The inspection period is a risky time for a seller. A buyer could try to negotiate down. A buyer can back out of the deal. So the less days you have for your inspection period, or if you can waive it altogether, that strengthens your offer. So there's a lot of different tools we'll use to help you negotiate. But at the end of the day, more often than not, the people with the most cash who can waive appraisals or do really large appraisal guarantees are typically the ones winning right now. But we'll advise you. We look at your total package of what you're bringing to the table and going accordingly. But if it's a nice house, if you're approved for $300,000, don't be surprised if the most expensive houses you can try to make offers are like the 280s, because you're going to need that cushion to be able to overbid up to 300 that you're approved for. So just keep that in mind. Once you make the offer, and if it's accepted, that's when we guide you through the next stages. If you are getting an inspection, we'll coordinate with you on that. We will order title work for you. We will coordinate with your lender for the appraisal that they're going to get, assuming it's not waived. So these are all different steps in the process that we do to help you through the buying process. If something comes up from inspection, we will advise you how we can negotiate to get that fixed. Once we get through that phase, though, then we kind of go on cruise control on our end, because it's the burden now shifts over to the lender as we wait for what's called a clear to close. The clear to close is when the lender comes back and says, okay, underwriting has fully evaluated all of your taxes, income, your situation, and has approved the mortgage to close. Once they do that, we can usually close within 3 days from that time. There'll be something that you sign off on, then it's 3 days from you signing the acknowledgement. So with that said, during that period, this is where things can go wrong, though, for you, the buyer, because things kind of get quiet for about 2 weeks while the lender does their work. And during that 2 weeks, a lot of times the buyer is thinking about, well, what do we need for the house? What furniture, what things? And what you do not want to do during this, from when you make your offer to when you're closed, do not open up lines of credit. Don't go buy furniture on a plan of like zero interest for 0 payments for a year, because even though you're not making payments right now, that still goes against your credit. Because any of these large credit things, don't go buy a car. If your car breaks down while you're in the process of buying, call your lender and say, this is what happened. Can I move forward on this? Because any large purchases, you're going to need to get approval from your lender prior. Because depending on what your income is, what your debt to income ratios are, what your credit score is, any little shift could be enough to make you disqualified, and then the deal could fall apart. So you got to be very careful. Another item to be careful on is what's called gift money. So sometimes people are getting a gift from family members, maybe $10,000 from a parent to help go towards their down payment and closing costs. You can't just take that money and put it in your account. The underwriters will suddenly see this large cash amount appear, and it sends up red flags, and it can cause issues. So you have to coordinate that with your lender if you're going to get what's called gift money. Often a letter will have to be signed by the person given the gift, acknowledging that this is a gift and not a loan, because the bank doesn't want competition. They don't want somebody else who can say, maybe put a lien on your property because you took out a personal loan to help buy this house. So they will have to sign in writing that this was a gift and is not expected to be paid back. But you'll talk to your lender about the specifics of the letter for them. But any kind of large amounts of monies coming in or out, if you have a large payment to make, coordinate that with your lender, because those large amounts of money moving in ways that aren't typical for your spending will send up red flags to that underwriter, and then they'll request all kinds of additional documents to try to prove what it is, and that could delay your closing process. So no large purchases, no credit cards, no 0 payments for a year. Don't do any of that during this process. Then that takes us to the closing. Once you get that final clear to close, we are able to do what's called a final walkthrough. And that's within those last 48 hours of closing, you're allowed to do one more walk through the house. And it's just to make sure, it's not an inspection. It should only be like 15 minutes. It's just going through and making sure, is this what we agreed on? Are the appliances that are supposed to be here, are they still here? There's no, did the water tank explode during the, maybe it's a week, something happened and the water tank failed and there's a big flood in the basement. Well, if you haven't closed yet, that's your time to negotiate the repair and say, hey, this isn't working anymore. We need you to fix this. Because at that point, since you didn't close, it's still owned by the seller. And so it's their responsibility. Or there are heavy rains like there have been recently. Maybe you see a hole in the ceiling from water leaking. You have the power to say, we're not closing until that's fixed. So those are the kind of things you're looking for in there. If there were any special terms in your contract, you want to make sure those terms are met before you close. So that gets you through the final walkthrough. Assuming that's good, we now get to the closing table. And that's where all the papers are signed. We will typically, in the day, 24 to 48 hours before closing, we will typically get the final numbers from your lender and from the title companies. Those final numbers will tell us how much money you need to bring to the table, and that could be in the form of a cashier's check or a wire. There's different rules for different title companies on the limit. So you'll have to, we'll help guide you through that. And then you set up your payment in whether it's a wire or a cashier's check. And then we meet at the closing table, sign the papers. Excuse me. And the house is yours. So there you have it. So that's the process from beginning to end for real estate. So if you need anything, give us a call. My number is 586-549-6096. Joe Webler's number is 586-277-2145. As I said before, Brett is in Vegas, but he will be back next week. So we're excited about that. He's always fun to talk to and getting his insights. And it's a lot less talking for me. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. We hope you have a blessed week, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.